Bear with me because there's a point to all this. I'd like to show you last night's dinner. That, my friends, was a single burger on a galactic level. It's called a Yankee burger, and between four of us, we couldn't demolish a single one. It's going to be leftovers for weeks. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. I went and bought that burger purely on the novelty of its size. By which I mean, I didn't go shopping around for the quality of burgers. Someone told me you can get this massive burger at this particular store, and I went and checked it out. And therein lies an interesting lesson for entrepreneurs. How do you stand out in a market? In one of my books on innovation, Relentlessly Relevant 50 Ways to Innovate, I talk about the idea of taking a thing to the nth degree. Now, as entrepreneurs, our default position, the thing we tend to try to do, is to fit in, to play it safe, and to pick up on the tone, the narrative, the feel of the industry that we see around us. Now, that's one way of going. It's possibly the worst way of going. Here's another option. What if you took one element, one increment of the thing you do and blew it out of all proportion? Now, in the case of this particular burger, they went size. And as I said, I didn't go and buy this burger based on its quality. I didn't do a comparison. And in fact, perhaps the most interesting thing, although I've been back and bought those large burgers a number of times, I've never bought any of their other burgers. I don't go there based on the quality of what we might call a standard burger. I've never tried one. The only thing I think of when I think of them is the massive monster, mega, mammoth, top-of-the-range, house-tilting, foundation-crushing burger. And I go there for that and that only. So, if that entrepreneur was playing the quality game and saying, who makes the best burger, they might get outplayed by their competition. But instead, they've found a metric, an increment that they have blown out of all proportion, and people go there for that. So, let's take a couple of examples of this one. If you were entering the stapler making business, you might look around and say, well, staplers are fairly functional office devices. They're boring, they're uninspired. Basically, every stapler you'll ever see is extremely functional, very reliable, and cheap and simple. Now, you can't compete on those metrics because stapler makers have been doing that for years. They're enjoying economies of scale, they have cornered their market, but what you might do is you might go in there and make an artisanal stapler. The coolest, sexiest, best designed stapler the world has ever seen. Something shiny and attractive, Darth stapler. And that could set you apart. Similarly, ice cream stores, for years and years, in fact for decades, the tone of an ice cream store was very much like the tone of a kiddie's party. It was all balloons and it was all young and colourful, and it was designed to appeal to that market and have that tone. Then along comes a maverick and says, why can't we do an ice cream store aimed at high-end clientele? The Nespresso of ice cream stores aimed at wealthy men and women. And they did, and bingo, $1,000,000 idea. So my question for you today is, how could you make your burger bigger? If you decided that you did not want to look like everyone else, fit in, fade into the background, and I recommend that for you, which one increment, which one element could you take to a ridiculous degree? Like the burger guys, it might be size, but it might be something else. It might be tone. It might be just packaging it in a way that it's never been seen before. Something that makes you so different that you become what Speaker Joe Calloway refers to as a category of one. There's nothing else like you. You don't necessarily have to compete on quality, and the chances are it would be difficult to do that in a saturated market. Could you build a bigger burger? The kind of thing that is so cool, so ridiculous, so over the top that people turn to one another and go, have you seen that burger? That's what we're after. That creates buzz, that gets people talking, and that brings business to your doorstep. How could you be different by design? What one element could you take to a ridiculous degree?